Morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to this beautiful blue sky, crisp autumn Sunday morning. The leaves are turning beautiful fall colors, and driving down Riverside this morning, I couldn't help but notice some amazing colors on display. Earlier this month, the first Sunday of November, we had an adult Dharma session. And at that session, I received a question from Crystal Ishii, who has been coming here all of her life. Even when Crystal went away to college at UCLA, I would see her whenever I was guest speaking, sometimes in Orange County. And it always makes me feel especially good whenever I'm visiting another temple and I'm able to see some of our kids who are away from Sacramento going to school. Well, Crystal graduated and has returned for graduate studies, and most wonderfully, she is home again here at the Betsuing. Before she asked her question during that Dharma Q&R session, Crystal said that she literally grew up coming here, the Sacramento Betsuing, and she added, "For all of her life, I have been the minister here." She said that Buddhism has always made sense to her, but she shared that when she was away at college, she would occasionally find herself in discussions with campus religious groups. And there were questions that she received questions that she was never really sure how to respond to. Once she was identified as a Buddhist, she would be asked, "Well, Buddhist, how did everything begin? How was everything created? And what happens when you die?" It was only when Crystal shared her experience with me that I realized that I've never really addressed these questions with Dharma school. They've often come up in adult Dharma sessions, but I never really talked about them in Dharma school. Interestingly, though, I was very pleased that Crystal said she never felt awkward about this. She said that she always felt comfortable with the sensibility of Buddhism, but she just kind of wondered, what would the Buddhist response be to these questions? And looking back, I told Crystal that in looking back, that these are probably questions I should have thought to discuss at Dharma school. It's not that I was avoiding these questions, it's more that I just never really think about them anymore. These are questions that never really come to my mind to even discuss. But they are interesting for sure, and I promised Crystal that I would take some time with our Dharma school and share responses to these questions that are considered so essential in so many other religious traditions around the world. Over the years, when I've had discussions, I've received so many questions that I've actually categorized the questions I received. I really have created these categories, and in a way the categories were created when I would discuss with Team Betsuing how we would participate in a Q&R session. See, notice I call it Q&R, not Q&A. We have no answers. We only have responses. And so I will go quickly through my categories. And there's no order to them. These are just categories I made up for myself. Okay, here goes. General types of questions asked. There are organizational questions, like what kind of temple is this, and what kind of study is involved in becoming a minister. There are questions requesting explanation of ritual or ceremony, like what's the altar about, or why do we burn incense, and what's the wheel, what is this symbol? Questions based on common misconceptions of Buddhism, like does reincarnation mean we have a soul, or is nirvana the same as heaven? Or is Buddha a god? Here's another category, questions that misunderstand Dharma points. non-attachment is the same as detachment, or that there is such things as good karma and bad karma. Misconceptions, misunderstanding of Dharma points often overlap, but there's a little subtle difference. Okay, there's another category, questions attempting to compare religions. And the most common question I get when asked to compare, they ask, so what do Buddhists believe? What do Buddhists believe? And here's another category, questions simply asking for clarification or elaboration on Dharma points. Like, what is Buddhism? What is enlightenment? What is Nembutsu? What are we saying? Then there are personal questions. Are you enlightened? What made you become a minister? How does one become a Buddhist? How much do you weigh? And finally, what I've come to call the black hole questions. The black hole questions. I think we all know what a black hole is, right? It's in astronomy, they study the universe, the stars, and they notice that when a star collapses in itself, then it becomes this black hole. I mean, it's so dense. It's so dense. They say 1 teaspoon of a black hole is so dense that it would weigh as much as the entire planet Earth. 1 teaspoon. So it's so dense that it sucks everything into the black hole. Even light goes into the black hole and nothing comes out. Nothing comes out. So I call these the black hole questions because we could put our entire life's time and energy in trying to answer these questions and nothing will come out. Nothing will come out. Not really. We may eventually decide, well, I'm just going to believe something just to make myself feel more comfortable. But that's not what Buddhism is about. Buddhism is not a belief system. So here are some black hole questions. How did the universe begin? Is there an immortal soul? Is there a God or many gods? Is the universe finite or infinite? And black hole questions include the ones that Crystal was asked. How was everything created? And what happens when we die? We could easily spend a few hours going through all of these general categories, but today I'm going to just address these black hole questions. In Buddhism, there's actually a name for these questions, and they have come to be known as the Great Silences. The Great Silences. It's said that over 2,600 years ago, in the time of the historical Buddha, the Shakyamuni Buddha was engaged in a discussion with other religious spiritual leaders of his time. And when he was asked these kinds of questions, how did everything begin? Is there a soul? Is there an eternal soul? Is there a God or many gods? Is the universe finite or infinite? And what happens when we die? To these questions, the Buddha remains silent. He remains silent. Is that great or what? He just remains silent. Silence is perhaps the most real and the most honest response, for how can any of these things be known? And even if a tradition claimed to know the answers to these questions, absolutely nothing would change. However things began, we are here right now. And whatever happens next, or whether there is an eternal soul or divine beings, we are here, living in this moment right now. Living this moment is what is real and important. When I was a student, I asked one of my teachers, Dr. Tai Uno, Reverend Tetsu Uno, his brother was our guest speaker last year, and I had Reverend Tetsu Uno's brother, Reverend Tai Uno, Dr. Uno, as one of my early Dharma teachers. And when I asked him about these Buddhist views, Dr. Uno said to me, if you need to know how everything began in order for you to live fully right now, you will never be alive fully right now. You'll always be living in the past. And if you need to know what happens next, then in order for you to be fully alive now, you'll never be fully alive in this moment. You'll always be living and worried about the future. What Dr. Uno was saying to me was this: having answers to these black hole questions are inconsequential to living fully in this moment right now. Of course, it would be great to truly and really know answers to these curious wonderments that humanity naturally has, but knowing changes nothing. However, if there is a Buddhist view of black hole questions, we might consider deeply the teaching of karma. Karma has become a popular English concept nowadays. It's even found in the dictionary. But the Buddhist understanding of karma is often misunderstood. Simplified, karma might literally be translated as activity, action or activity. In other words, countless actions of the past have created the present. Countless causes and conditions, people and events have created our lives and this moment that we are living right now. And what we do from now in all of the activity of this moment and moments past, this simply means that we are all one in the karmic fabric of life. There is an analogy, an image that I've come to feel most appropriate. Each of us here, no matter how old we may be, as long as we live, we are like a beautiful flower that's blooming. People easily notice and appreciate the beautiful flower blossom, but few give much thought about in what that flower is rooted that allows it to exist, to grow and to bloom. As long as we live, our lives are rooted in the countless lives and sacrifices and efforts of so many. When we especially think about significant people we love that we have lost, they are the roots of our lives, and we exist because our lives will forever be rooted in theirs. We are rooted in their lives, in their love, in their efforts, in their sacrifices, in their hopes and their dreams. Those of you who are parents, you know well, where does your life end and your child's begin? Where does my life end and my parents begin? We are always all one in the karmic fabric of life, in the karmic fabric of love, the karmic fabric of wisdom and compassion. And all of humanity, all of the earth is one in the karmic fabric of the universe. Karma is deep. Karma is vast. Karma is beyond our calculations to simply know and understand. It's kind of nice to know that it's okay not to feel we have to have the answers to everything. So although it's taken me 31 years to address these questions, I hope we all have felt over the years as comfortable as Crystal has whenever she encountered the questions that I've come to call the black hole questions. In a way, I think the sensibility of Buddhism is so comfortable that we can be asked questions and it's okay. I mean, absolutely wonderful, honest to be able to say, I don't know, because it can't be known. To be able to say, I don't know, with great confidence, it's okay. There's great mystery to life, and this is as it should be. So I like to thank you for joining us this wonderful Sunday, November morning. What better way to begin the week than with a little Dharma clarity. In closing, please join me in Gassho. Countless actions of the past have created the present. Countless causes and conditions, people and events have created our lives. And this moment we are living right now. And what we do now, all of the activity of this moment will create the future. We are, all of us, interwoven in the karmic fabric of life. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.